What if I told you that the very part of yourself you fear is the key to unlocking your deepest potential? Carl Jung referred to this as the shadow, the hidden, repressed side of our psyche that remains, whether we acknowledge it or not. Integrating this shadow is not just about confronting our darkness, it is about transforming it into a source of profound growth. The shadow consists of everything you've denied or repressed, your fears, insecurities, suppressed emotions, and desires you were taught to believe were unacceptable. It begins in childhood as you absorb societal norms, family expectations, and cultural conditioning. Over time, you learn which traits and behaviours are considered undesirable. For instance, if you were criticized for being too sensitive, you might learn to suppress your emotional side, believing it to be a weakness. If you were judged for standing up for yourself, you might grow into an adult who pleases others to avoid conflict. These disowned aspects don't disappear. Instead, they retreat into your unconscious, continuing to shape your thoughts, actions, and relationships in subtle ways. Have you ever experienced an intense, irrational anger with no clear cause? Or judged someone harshly only to realize you share the same trait? That's your shadow quietly influencing your behavior. Ignoring the shadow doesn't make it disappear. It strengthens its grip. But integrating it isn't solely about confronting negativity. It's about rediscovering the suppressed creativity, raw instincts, and hidden strengths you were taught to reject. These rejected qualities are not inherently bad. They are essential parts of who you are. When embraced, they can lead to profound self-discovery and transformation. The emotions you once buried, assertiveness, ambition, jealousy, anger, and even your capacity for selfishness, were not flaws, but parts of your authentic self that became inconvenient or unacceptable to others. The shadow holds not only repressed strengths, but also the impulses and desires you were conditioned to fear. When ignored, these qualities resurface in unhealthy ways, such as through self-sabotage or projecting your flaws onto others. For example, someone who fears failure might procrastinate, undermining their success. Similarly, a person insecure about their worth may criticize others for qualities they secretly struggle with. The path to healing begins by acknowledging these aspects of yourself without judgment. Once recognized, they transform from burdens into powerful tools for self-awareness and growth. True personal growth doesn't come from erasing your shadow, but from understanding it, accepting it, and integrating it into your whole self. Many of history's greatest thinkers, leaders, and visionaries weren't just shaped by their virtues, but by their willingness to confront and integrate their darker sides. The more you own your shadow, the more complete and empowered you become. Jung believed that by bringing the shadow into consciousness, individuals could achieve individuation, the process of becoming a whole, authentic self. Rather than allowing the shadow to unconsciously control us through projection and self-sabotage, acknowledging and embracing it leads to greater self-awareness, resilience, and emotional depth. Becoming aware of your shadow requires honest self-reflection. It means questioning your reactions, judgments, and fears. Why do you feel triggered by certain people? What qualities in others irritate you the most? Often, these are reflections of your own disowned traits. Integration of the shadow doesn't mean acting on every suppressed impulse. It means understanding and accepting our full selves. By doing so, we become more authentic, less reactive, and more in control of our lives. The very qualities you once rejected, your intensity, ambition, or even your ability to stand up for yourself, are not flaws, but essential parts of who you are. When denied, they work against you. When embraced, they become your greatest allies, turning shame into self-acceptance and repression into power. True wholeness comes not from erasing these parts of yourself, but from owning them fully. This idea mirrors a fundamental paradox of life. Creation and destruction are two sides of the same coin. Just as the shadow holds both potential and danger, life itself is shaped by opposing forces, failure and success, joy and sorrow, that work together to propel us forward. The more you confront and embrace your shadow, the more complete and empowered you become, much like how the cycle of creation and destruction sustains life. By acknowledging the darker aspects of yourself, you allow transformation to happen, breaking down old, limiting beliefs and creating space for new growth. This internal duality, the struggle between light and dark, self-awareness and repression, is central to both Eastern and Western spiritual traditions. These traditions examine the forces Jung sought to integrate through individuation. Hinduism presents a deeply symbolic view of human nature, where Brahman, the ultimate reality, encompasses both light and darkness, creation and destruction. This duality is embodied by deities like Shiva, the god of transformation, who destroys to create anew. The paradox of life, where creation and destruction are inseparable, plays a central role in this philosophy. Without destruction, there can be no creation. Without endings, there are no beginnings. This cyclical process is not just a natural law, but a spiritual truth. Death gives rise to new life, and failure often leads to success. Life's paradox rests in the cycle of creation and destruction, where each is essential to the other's existence. Take death, for example. It may seem like an end, but it is a necessary part of the cycle that makes life possible. Without death, the earth would become overrun with decay, and new life would have no space to emerge. Similarly, in nature, one animal must die so another can live, maintaining balance in ecosystems. In competition, one must lose for the other to win. Defeat creates the opportunity for victory. This cycle of balance and transformation is the essence of life's paradox. Creation and destruction are intertwined, each giving meaning to the other. The fierce goddess Kali embodies this duality, representing both destruction and protection. She reminds us that even the most intimidating aspects of ourselves, our fears, pain, and repressed emotions, serve a vital role. When we acknowledge and integrate these parts, they can lead to profound transformation, guiding us toward wholeness. By embracing this paradox, we come to understand that the light and dark forces within us are not opposing forces to fear, but essential elements of our spiritual growth. The Bhagavad Gita, a sacred Hindu text, recounts a conversation between Lord Krishna and the warrior Arjuna, who struggles with fear and doubt. Krishna urges Arjuna to confront his inner turmoil rather than suppress it, illustrating Jung's idea that self-realization comes from integrating all parts of the psyche. Arjuna's journey mirrors our own struggle with the shadow. We must face our darkness to discover our true potential. Buddhism, too, provides a path to integrating the shadow. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment and aversion, two sides of the same coin. The hungry ghost realm in Buddhist cosmology describes beings eternally craving but never satisfied, much like our repressed desires, which manifest in unhealthy ways when ignored. Mindfulness, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, serves as a powerful tool for shadow work. By observing thoughts and emotions without judgment, we gain insight into our unconscious patterns. Vipassana meditation, which involves deep self-observation, allows suppressed material to surface, much like Jung's concept of individuation, the process of integrating the unconscious into conscious awareness. Christianity also acknowledges the shadow in its teachings on sin and redemption. The story of Adam and Eve symbolizes the awakening to duality, the awareness of good and evil, light and shadow. Their exile from Eden represents the loss of unity with the whole self, a theme echoed in Jung's idea that modern individuals live in a fragmented state, disconnected from their unconscious mind. The figure of Christ exemplifies the integration of the shadow, symbolizing the transformation of our darker aspects. Jesus' teachings emphasize love, forgiveness, and self-awareness, qualities that help individuals face their shadow selves and transcend their more destructive impulses. The crucifixion and resurrection, in particular, symbolize this transformative process, confronting suffering, integrating the darkness, and emerging renewed. Just as Jung advocated for facing the unconscious to achieve individuation, Christ's journey represents a spiritual path to wholeness through acknowledging and transforming suffering. Jung understood that repression only strengthens what we seek to suppress. The more we deny uncomfortable truths, the more forcefully they demand expression, often in destructive forms. The early 20th century provides a stark example. Unchecked repression and collective denial gave rise to totalitarian regimes, where entire nations projected their unacknowledged shadows onto marginalized groups, fueling scapegoating and violence. Jung warned that unless individuals and societies confront their shadows, history will continue to repeat itself in ever more devastating cycles. This need to confront and integrate the shadow is not only a collective challenge, but a deeply personal one. One of the most powerful ways the shadow reveals itself is through dreams, which serve as a bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind. In these nocturnal encounters, our hidden fears, desires, and traits emerge, often through projection, allowing us to face aspects of ourselves that we may have otherwise rejected or failed to acknowledge. Jung saw dreams as a vital tool in our journey towards self-awareness, offering us the opportunity to recognize the shadow within and bring it into conscious awareness. The shadow frequently emerges in specific dream scenarios, each offering valuable insight into our internal conflicts. For example, being chased in a dream is a strong indicator of avoidance. If you find yourself running from a threatening figure, it suggests you are evading an aspect of yourself. The faster and more aggressively the pursuer chases, the more urgent the unresolved issue is. On the other hand, confronting or fighting a dark figure suggests an inner battle. If you win, it may symbolize progress in integrating the shadow. However, losing the fight could indicate ongoing struggles with repression. If you frequently dream of being betrayed, attacked, or deceived, it may point to the projection of your own suppressed tendencies or unresolved conflicts onto others. Similarly, witnessing violence in a dream without actively participating can signify the repression of strong emotions, such as anger or resentment, which are manifesting in symbolic form. If you harbor unacknowledged anger, you might often encounter aggressive or violent figures in your dreams. If you deny your own ambition, you may dream of a rival who constantly outshines you, reflecting an internal struggle with self-assertion. If you're struggling with feelings of inadequacy, you might dream of being humiliated by others, mirroring your deepest fears about your self-worth. These dreams often reveal the unconscious material you've been avoiding, offering a window into the aspects of yourself that need attention and integration. The shadow rarely appears as the dreamer themselves. Instead, it takes on symbolic representations who reveal aspects of ourselves that have been suppressed, rejected, or left unexplored. One common manifestation is the dark stranger or intruder, a menacing figure lurking in the background or breaking into the dreamer's home. This symbolizes aspects of the self that have been denied or ignored. If the intruder is violent, it may indicate repressed anger or aggression that needs to be acknowledged. Similarly, monsters and demons frequently appear in dreams as grotesque or terrifying creatures. These often symbolize deep-seated fears, unresolved traumas, or negative self-perceptions, representing the parts of ourselves we struggle to accept, such as guilt, shame, or destructive impulses. Some dreams express the influence of the shadow in more abstract ways. Losing teeth or hair, for instance, often symbolizes anxiety about control, appearance, or unresolved fears about aging and mortality, all of which can be linked to the shadow's presence in the unconscious. Another intriguing form is the opposite gender figure, also known as the anima or animus. Jung proposed that every individual carries an unconscious counterpart. Men have an inner feminine, anima, and women have an inner masculine, animus. When these energies are repressed, they may appear in dreams as alluring, dangerous, or enigmatic figures, signaling qualities that need to be integrated for psychological balance. At times, the shadow presents itself through deceptive or manipulative figures, characters who embody dishonesty or untrustworthiness. This can reflect self-deception or unrecognized traits the dreamer dislikes in others, but fails to acknowledge within themselves. Not all shadow figures are villains, though. Sometimes they appear as wounded or weak characters, such as an injured animal, a crying child, or a helpless figure. These representations often symbolize neglected parts of the self that require attention and healing. A particularly eerie experience is encountering a doppelganger, a version of yourself with distorted or exaggerated traits. This can symbolize self-alienation and unresolved internal conflicts, suggesting you are not fully in touch with all aspects of your personality. In some cases, the shadow takes the form of famous figures or archetypal beings. These well-known personalities, mythological figures, or supernatural entities represent larger psychological struggles, embodying archetypal forces that influence the subconscious mind. On a more positive note, a shadow dream can also depict transformation. If a frightening character in your dream changes into a benevolent figure, it suggests that integration of the shadow is occurring, leading to greater self-acceptance and wholeness. Recognizing the projections of our unconscious mind is the first step in reclaiming and integrating the hidden parts of ourselves. The shadow, as it is often called, doesn't simply fade away. It operates in the background, influencing our thoughts, actions, and relationships in ways we don't always realize. Shadow dreams, in particular, provide a powerful opportunity for self-awareness and transformation. Understanding these dreams is not just about interpretation. It's about integration, bringing unconscious material into conscious awareness and embracing the lessons it offers. Journaling can be a powerful tool for shadow work, as it helps you track patterns and explore hidden aspects of the psyche without judgment. Writing down dreams immediately upon waking allows us to capture the emotions, symbols, and imagery present. Over time, patterns emerge, offering insight into recurring themes and unresolved conflicts within us. Another technique is active imagination, a method Jung recommended, in which we consciously engage with dream figures through visualization. This allows us to have a dialogue with the unconscious, creating a bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind. Emotions play a crucial role in this process, as they often indicate where the shadow is most active. Strong feelings in a dream, especially those that feel irrational or intense, can point to areas of unresolved tension within ourselves. Rather than dismissing negative emotions, we can explore what they reveal about these hidden parts, traits, fears, or desires that we've repressed or disowned. Creative expression is another valuable tool for processing and integrating the content of shadow dreams. Whether through painting, music, dance, or storytelling, these outlets help externalize the emotions and images we encounter in our dreams, making them more tangible and accessible for deeper understanding. Creative work can transform abstract, unconscious material into something concrete, allowing us to explore and release what we've buried. Ultimately, the shadow is a vital component of the unconscious mind, representing the fears, desires, and suppressed traits we avoid confronting. In dreams, it often appears as dark strangers, monsters, or deceptive figures, manifestations of the aspects of ourselves that we have yet to accept. By interpreting and integrating these images, we gain insight into our internal struggles and hidden conflicts. As we learn to embrace and understand the shadow, we can transform our relationship with it, allowing it to become a source of wisdom, growth, and emotional balance, rather than something to fear. This process of integration leads to a deeper, more authentic sense of self and greater self-awareness. The shadow isn't a monster to be feared, but a guide leading us toward wholeness. Until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. But by embracing our shadow, we reclaim our power, creativity, and true essence. The question is, are you ready to face yours?